families as we navigate some of life's biggest decisions and transitions, because there's no playbooks for getting older, are there? Just like when you bring a baby home. But our goal is simple. We want to bring trusted information, real resources, good people together in one place. There's never a sales pitch, there's no pressure, and there's no catch. Just education, conversation, and support. So every month we bring in local professionals and experts to talk about important things that are important to all of you. And things like housing or downsizing, scams, financing, Medicare, caregiving, senior living, legacy planning, health issues, and wellness, and a whole lot more. A big part of what makes Nebraska Savvy Senior special is our educational partners, and they're out there on the tables, and some of them are in the room with us today. And these are trusted local businesses and professionals who've chosen to be a part of Nebraska Savvy Seniors because they truly care about serving older adults and their families. Many of them have tables out there today, so please do take your time and stop by. Just for your information, the restrooms are right over here, and there's just that one restroom that's right down the hall. There are some evaluations on your table, and I want you to kind of start filling those out because we want to build out completely. We want you to be filling those out during the seminar and answering some of those questions. And when we get done, we'll pick up those evaluations, and the ones who are completely filled out, your names will go into a drawing, and we have some really great door prizes that we're going to give away later, okay? And then, if you want to look at on your table, you're going to find two other pieces of paper. One is about our next travel trip. Actually, this is going to be our first trip. It's kind of a test trip. And we're going to take a bus to the Nebraska State Fair in Grand Island on August 31st. And it's $115, and it gets you tickets into the fairgrounds. It's your bus ride there, it's your bus ride back. There's going to be treats on the bus, and you got tickets to see Casey and the Sunshine Band, and that plays I think at 4:30. And Bill Crastle, who is going to be there, I think he plays at 2:30. So we'll be able to see two different programs that day. We're going to have more fun on the bus than we are at the fair. So sign up. We are going to have a lot of fun. So today we're going to talk about seniorpreneurs. How many of you heard that term before, seniorpreneurs? Good. Well, we're going to talk about how you might be able to turn your passion into profit and pleasure and do something for a purpose. So retirement doesn't have to look like it did 20 or 30 years ago. More and more people are continuing to work, start businesses, follow their passion, or reinvent themselves later in life. Some do it for extra income, some do it for purpose, and some simply because they still have something valuable to give everybody. So today is not about pressure or selling, it's about conversations, real stories for you, and learning from people who've actually lived it and are doing it. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Our panelists each took very different paths. They all provide something important. And your next chapter doesn't have to look like everybody else's. Your next chapter needs to look how you want it to look. And whether you're thinking about starting something new, continuing to work, volunteering, turning a hobby into income, or just exploring what's next for you, we hope today will give you some ideas, some encouragement, and maybe even a little bit of inspiration. So I'm going to introduce our panelists. We have Les Robbins, and Les is actively retired CPA. Do you guys know what a CPA stands for? Does anybody know? Can I say a naughty word here? Okay, certified pain in the ass. And I can say that because he's also my brother. I am a CPA most of the time. And then next to him we have Charlie Brogan. And Charlie is a KFOR radio host, a longtime professional and still active in his field. And next to Charlie we have Marianne Stallings. And we could talk about Marianne forever because she's won a lot of awards and accolades. She was a school teacher, but now most currently she's a founder of Bridge for Better Living, and they help with senior placement. And then we have Dave Tuttle, the Medicare guy from American Senior Benefits, and he's going to talk about the ramifications about working and how that might affect your Medicare benefits. So, are you guys ready to get started? Okay. Charlie, we have a mic, and you're going to be passing around the mic, so make sure it's on. And my first question is gonna be for you, Charlie. I'll have you start. And Charlie's afraid of the microphone, you can tell. Charlie, you've had a long, successful career. At a stage when many people might step away, you're still actively working. What keeps you doing what you do?
You mean I could step away if I want to?
You can.
Wow, somebody should have told me that. I started in radio in 1969, and I've had a very long career. I retired from the full-time in 2023, but since then I've been doing independent work, recording audiobooks, continuing to do commercials for people that I worked for before, and also doing soundtracks on videos. And what keeps me going is the fact that I never thought about quitting. I've always enjoyed the work, I've enjoyed the people that I was able to meet, and very much enjoyed the people I worked with. And as I approached when I thought I might slow down a little bit and have a little more free time for fishing and traveling and things, I started thinking about how I could structure some kind of a way to continue. And part of it is that I continue to do things that I've done for a number of years for people. For example, I've emceed the lighting of the state Christmas tree for the past 20 years at the Capitol, and I just continue to do that and will as long as I'm asked to do that. And continue to do commercials for some of the clients that I worked for in the radio career, selling advertising. And I found a way to do audiobooks that end up on Audible, and the three of them have kept me about as busy as I want to be. So I still enjoy it, and will do it as long as I continue to enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, Mary Ann, how about you? For you personally, what led you to continue building and growing your business at this stage of life?
Well, thank you, and it's great to be here today. So many years ago when I was teaching, my husband and I had to find retirement communities for loved ones. And we found it very, very frustrating. And we would go in, we'd ask the wrong questions, or we'd find the right place financially, but not medically, or vice versa. And it just took a lot of time, it took a lot of effort. And then it came time to move my mother from western Nebraska, and that was something else too, because out there you can see forever, so she had to have a retirement community that met her personality, which meant that it had to be open. And so I was teaching 7th grade math, and got to thinking that, you know, there's gotta be a way to help people go through this transition and how to navigate and find the right retirement community. So the last year, I took a course first on how to write a business plan, and then I started doing the research, and about the last year and a half, I put Bridge to Better Living together. And so I asked Lincoln Public Schools if I could retire in the middle of the year, at the end of the first semester. And I had a way figured out that they could replace me as a 7th grade math teacher. And so they said, okay. So on January 15th, that was my last day of teaching in 2010. On January 16th, I was out at the Lancaster County Event Center for the Women's Expo and had Bridge to Better Living. I had the logo, everything set up, and so started the next day. And so, you know, we help people find independent, assisted, memory, and long-term care. And it's one of the things I definitely wanted was that it be a free service for our clients. And so in order to do that, we contract with all of the different communities. We have contracts with everybody in Lincoln, most of Omaha, up and down I-80, north and south also. So, and I found there were two things there. First off, my age when I started my business, and B, being a woman, because you don't often find very many women entrepreneurs. So I had two hurdles to cross there. So, you know, it took some time and stamina and beat the streets, and it all worked out.
You do a good job, and she runs a real tight ship, and she's very successful. So we'll go to Les here. Les, you had a successful career as a CPA. What made you to decide to fully step away instead and move into consulting, entrepreneurship, and mentoring others? And Les actually retired like 20 years ago when he was 50.
Thank you, Alicia, for the invitation to come back here. I did it a year ago and she invited me back, so I guess that's a good sign. CPA is Certified Public Accountant, in case you didn't know that. Because she has a different, and I got a shirt that says that on it at home. I should have wore that today.
It was a Christmas gift from his siblings.
So I've never retired. I mean, I'm actively retired. I was in public accounting for 20 years. Grew up here in Lincoln and started at a local firm here in Lincoln and moved to Omaha in 1983 and went and was with two other firms, partners in those firms. And then about 1998, I was getting this itching. Instead of writing history books, as you call it, financial statements for other people, I saw what other people were doing and got the itch to get out into the business world and try some business activities myself. And over the last almost 30 years now, I've done real estate development. That's really my passion, is real estate. I've done assisted living communities. We built those from scratch. On the 24-hour-a-day truck stop, thank God we sold that one. I got my wife back in 2009. That was a challenging business. Self-storage, contractor bays. I've done a lot of different business things. These days, I mean, I can't just give it up. I need something to do. We all need some reason to get up in the morning, something to do to make the world a better place. By participating in forums like this, also mentoring young people and old people too, older people. You know, it's been a real pleasure to me. One thing I want to add, though, you probably noticed a little nick on my head. You know, when you get to be my age, you need to watch your step. I mean, we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, and you need to watch your step a little bit better because you probably don't have as good a footing as you used to. And took a little tumble Sunday, and actually turned out that I got a little bung on the head. I got that fixed the other day. But you know, I think I still have a passion for helping others, and these days I do more volunteer work than I just kind of manage the other stuff. And I get 10 grandkids, so I mean, that keeps me active too. And a sister invites me to things like this.
I try to keep him out of trouble. Okay, so Dave, over to you. And Dave, you're not quite 65 yet, but you're getting close, aren't you?
6 months. I'm 64 and a half, and I said that to somebody earlier, and they thought that was funny.
Are you sure? I think you've been saying that a few years.
I have, yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, as you work with people who are approaching 65, when someone chooses to keep working, what are some of the real ramifications that might come to Medicare when it comes to Medicare?
Well, I'm going to assume, and I shouldn't, but I'm going to assume that a majority of the people in this room have already passed that stage. But that stage would be, okay, what's going to happen if I choose? How many of you worked past 65? Let me show of hands. Okay, so you're probably the people I'm talking to, for sure. When you work past 65, there are some things you should really do. One of the things you should do is to compare, okay, if I work past 65, what will that look like? Or if I retire at 65, what will that look like? A lot of people don't do the comparison. They just say, I'm going to keep working, I'm going to keep working, I'm going to keep working. And the thing is that could be a costly mistake that you don't even know you're creating. And why would it be a costly mistake? Why? Because if you could get on Medicare, and that would be financially the better avenue, that's what you should do. But a lot of people don't know that. They just keep working. They're just, everybody at this table is still working. And I'm the youngest one, and I'm 64 and a half. So that should tell you something. So why you should keep working or why you shouldn't keep working, that is a question you should be able to answer. Because a lot of people work past what they should. There's a lot of financial things that come into play. if you're still working and you shouldn't be, or you're not working and you should be. So those are questions a person should be asking themselves on a daily basis is, okay, what happens if I still work? I love what I do, or I hate what I do. One of those two things. What decision should I make? And most of you have already made that decision, I understand that. But that is a good decision because it does have financial ramifications, you know, and that, you know, and what it also says is, okay, what am I exposed to? What kind of exposure do I have? If I have a health situation, what am I exposed to? Those are the kind of numbers you should know and ask yourself. So.
Okay, great. But we're gonna go back to Charlie. So Charlie, can you tell us, how has your reasons for continuing to work changed over time? I'm sure when you got right out of college, your reason for working was totally different than now. So can you tell us the progression of it, how it's changed over time?
Well, when you go back to college, it was just, what are you gonna do next? And I've had a variety of experiences, from interviewing very important people to covering and writing news stories about very unfortunate events, and helping businesses with promotions, and helping nonprofit organizations and promote themselves and build and grow themselves, right up to the point where I got in the later part of my career, and some of the things that I'd done earlier, such as a period when I owned a radio station, things like fixing the roof and refereeing fights between secretaries was not really what I trained to do or wanted to do. And so later on I said I'd really like to shed some of the less pleasant stuff and do what I really trained for and enjoy. And so about 20 years ago, I got out of the management ranks, came back here to Lincoln from another city where I lived, and just began being a newscaster and working with businesses on promotion and advertising on the side. And so that's kind of the biggest change in the career, I guess. And when I retired from the full-time, I knew I was going to continue to do some work in terms of commercials for my past customers. I learned about the opportunity and the way to do audiobooks, and so that added to the path a little bit. I took a course on the business side of audiobook narration. That took a couple of months, and then that took me into what I do now, and I'm about as busy as I want to be. When I started out with audiobooks, I was advised by the course that I took that it takes about 20 auditions to get a book contract, and that's about what it was when I first started out, but that's come down now to the point where I do basically an audition every once in a while, but I'm getting repeat business now from authors that I have done 2 and 3 books for, and so that's changed a little bit in that I didn't realize it was going to come in, and I'm at the point now where I have to really regulate and avoid taking on too much work, because I like to fish, I like to travel, and I like to go to my grandchildren's programs in the afternoon at their schools. So I have to be a little careful about that. But other than that, work has continued in a variety of ways, and I continue to enjoy it every day.
And I hear you have a hot new radio show coming on that you're.
I have a great radio show with one of Lincoln's leading realtors.
And it's called Savvy Senior Radio. You guys all have a flyer. We're on at 9:30 KFOR every Sunday morning. Tune in. Okay, just a little plug there. All right, thanks,
That
Charlie.
was a good plug, too.
Okay. Mary Ann, what do you find personally the most fulfilling about what you're doing right now?
You know, that's kind of a twofold question, because many times I'm working with the senior and the family. And so with the seniors, when they finally make that choice to leave their home and go to a retirement community, it's a hard for many of them, it's a very hard time. If they make that, and backing up a little bit, sometimes they have just been there by themselves so long that they kind of go into a depression. And once they get into the retirement community, it's just fun to watch them thrive and become active and able to enjoy their peers and go places and do the things that they enjoy. So that is very rewarding to watch that. But then it's also very rewarding to watch the kids, because all of a sudden you see a huge smile on their face, the weight of the world comes off their shoulders. And so there's kind of a twofold question there, because you know, it's the hugs, the friendships, you know, over the last 16 years, all the friendships that we've had, and it's just been very, very rewarding.
I'm sure it has, and you touch people right here, don't you?
Yes,
And they touch you too, don't they?
yes, they do.
So Les, we're gonna move on to you. You not only continued working, but you also mentor others. What does that role mean to you, and why has that become important to you in this stage of life?
Well, I think the thing that I like with mentoring is, it's that song by, let's see, who is it? It's Humble and Kind. What's the guy's name?
Willie Nelson?
No, that's my favorite, but it's
Everything is Willie Nelson with him.
Humble and Kind is a song that is kind of rings in my ears a little bit. There's a phrase in there that says, when you get to where you're going, reach back and help the next one in line. To me, it's a giving back thing, giving back what I have to offer to young people especially, and older folks too. By speaking at the UNL, I've got an outlet there to talk to the freshmen in the accounting classes when they come in, and I've done that for 2 years. There's like 40-some students, so I get to talk to them about the joys of being an accountant. You might think it's kind of boring, okay, numbers and stuff. Charlie and I were talking about back when I first got out of college, and you had to do everything by hand, and that was a lot of tedious work. Now there's some exciting things that are happening in accounting, so I enjoy doing that. Also enjoy mentoring my sons. I have one son that's an entrepreneur, pretty much dedicated. He's chip off the old block, the oldest one. Okay, Nick, the oldest son, chip off the old block. So we office together, and constantly he's asking me questions, and I'm giving him my advice. He doesn't always like my advice, but I give him my honest opinion. So by mentoring and giving back, I think you're just helping others to reach maybe their goals, and to me, it's a very satisfying way to spend my time.
Good. And he's come a long way. I've known him since for a little bit of time. So knowing where he came from and where he is today, I'm going to just let him know that I'm proud of him, and so is the rest of his family. So Dave, what are some of the biggest mistakes that people make because they don't understand how working impacts their Medicare?
Well, the biggest mistake is not doing the math. If you did the math, and it's all about exposure. You know, what are you exposed to? What aren't you exposed to? Should I work? You know, because there's things you need to take into consideration, and a lot of people don't. They just keep working, and they just take their health plan with them, but they don't even understand their own health plan. So how can a person compare a different way of doing things, which is called Medicare, to what they presently have? And I think one of the things that should happen, but doesn't hardly ever happen, is doing the math. Okay, what would be a better situation? You know, the thing is, you can still work and be on Medicare and not take your income or not take the health plan they offer you. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And at the end of the day, we want to find, or you should want to find, something that makes sense. You don't want any surprises. Oh, wait, I have a deductible of $5,000? Oops, that's a surprise you don't want. It's costly.
Okay.
Jump in, Mary Ann, you for,
No,
ladies
I
first,
was
but I wanna,
just-
I wanna comment on my personal experience about working and, how I do the health insurance.
No, I was just thinking, as both of you were talking, when I started Bridge to Better Living, I knew that there were three things that I needed, or three people that were gonna be very, very important to my business. One was to find a very good CPA accountant, one was to find a good insurance man, and one was to find a good attorney. And those were three very important people that helped me get Bridge to Better Living started.
Good advice, Mary Ann.
To follow up about the importance of the plan, my mom died when she was 52, my dad when he was 60, our mom and dad. When I got to be close to retirement age, full retirement, it was 66 to 2 months, I started taking Social Security. Not because I needed it so much, but I liked the income, okay? And I didn't know what my path was as far as how long I was gonna live. I'm on Medicare, I'm on government health care, and I love it, okay? And you just need, like was mentioned, that we need to find the right plan to supplement that, to make sure that you don't find out someday you have a, $5,000 deductible. I had a stroke 6 months ago, hard to believe, but I did. I thought I was gonna meet Jesus face to face that night. I ended up being in intensive care for observation, basically, because I was, a model patient, I guess, because I bounced out of it. I had a brain bleed. Anyway, so I was in observation for 9 days, 9 nights, I call it, in intensive care, and 4 nights in a regular room. My total bill was like $135,000. I mean, that's an enormous number. If I didn't have the right health insurance plan, I could have been out a whole lot of money. It ended up costing me, guess how much it cost me? Anybody want to guess? It cost me like $2,500 out of pocket. And I got the best care possible. So it's very important to pick your health care plan. Continue to work, take the Social Security. I took it early because I could take full benefit. If I would have waited a few more years, like could be explained, you could probably get a little bit more, but I paid that money for like 5 years now, and so I feel good about that.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Let me add another one here. I'll plead guilty to one of Dave's not knowing what you have or what you need. I continued to work. I started taking Social Security at age 70, and I worked full-time until I was 73. And right after I started taking it at 70, I got a little notice about a new friend called Irma, and he's shaking his head. I didn't know, didn't do the homework and find out that I was gonna get nailed with IRMA, which stands for Income Related Medicare Adjustment of some kind or other. I had another A word for it, but that's, and it cost me a couple $100 a month for 3 years. And I didn't realize going in, I should have realized, but didn't. And I still came out ahead, but that was quite a deduct that I was not looking for, and that just verifies what Dave is saying. Know what you got and know what you're getting into.
Good ads, everybody. Charlie, can you tell us what you've gained by continuing to work that you didn't expect to gain?
Yeah, a new friend named Irma for one. Probably the most interesting thing that I have gained is connections with people all over the world, and I literally mean all over the world, because I have, the way I get my book contracts when I narrate audiobooks is through a little back office website of Audible. Does everybody know what Audible is? Part of Amazon, where you get audiobooks. They have a little back office called ACX, and you can either click on Find a Narrator if you're an independent author who's written a book, or you click on Find Work if you're a narrator like myself. And you find a little summary of the book and you send in an audition, and if you're lucky enough, you get a contract. I've worked for a personal trainer in London. I'm currently doing a series of history books for a group out of Dublin, Ireland. I've done a book on the history of copper mining in Lake Superior for a professor at the University of Hawaii. And I've done about 50 books now so far in 2.5 years, and the authors are from all over the country. So one of the things I've gained is just all those relationships all around the world and the satisfaction of getting repeat business from quite a few of them.
That's interesting, so you really get around. Well,
I
Mary,
don't, but my computer does.
maybe they'll have you do an on-site reading sometime. So Mary Ann, we're gonna go to you this time. What's something that you've learned in your journey that you wish you would have known a lot earlier?
I guess the time that it takes to get a business going, sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. And it just, you have to have that stamina and the will to keep on going. And as a female, sometimes I felt like when I would go try to get a contract, my age, and they thought, well, is Bridge to Better Living gonna be around next year? And so, I had to prove that Bridge to Better Living was here to stay. And so, it was, it's not easy, but, and some people make it look easy, and they probably do. There probably are a lot of businesses that are like that. Because as a service, you're dealing with people. You're not putting a product on the shelf. And so it's a different type of business, and
And you do make it look easy. So Les, we're gonna go back to you. For someone who may want to stay active, or maybe you guys even want to start something new, what advice would you give to everybody here, and how could mentorship even play into that part?
I mean, if you want to keep active, I feel like I said before, I need a reason to get up every morning, and then to me, it's helping other people partly and enjoying things. If you want to get into a business, I think first of all, you need to find something that you have a passion for, whatever it might be. I mean, I have a passion for real estate. If I wanted to, I could be a realtor, or you could do that too. I mean,
Join my team.
I could join your team, but I'm not going to. Personal reasons. No. I think that what I would say is that when you're looking at getting into a business, you gotta see what the entrance mode is, how much capital it's gonna cost you, or potentially. And if you'd be a licensed real estate agent, didn't really think I was gonna plug doing this, but what is it gonna take to get to where you're gonna be, and how much money is it gonna cost in time? And so you have to really think about that, because if you get into at our age, if you get into a business that's capital intensive and you lose it, it could be a big serious blow to your retirement. And so you have to think about how many chips you're willing to put out and risk on whatever business you're going to get into. The main thing though is to find something that you're passionate about. Like I said, if you're doing something that you like Charlie reading books, doing the audio and books, he enjoys doing it, so it's a pleasure to do it. If he didn't like doing it, I don't think he would do it, because I don't think Charlie needs the money, okay? He's doing it because he wants to do it. And that's what I think we all should do, is do something that the money is secondary, perhaps, hopefully, and something that you really enjoy to do.
Good. So Dave, back to you. You talked about some of the mistakes people make. So what should someone do before deciding to keep working past 65 so that they don't make those mistakes?
Well, my suggestion to you is do the math, basically. Know ahead of time. There's an old saying that says you should, it's the old plan saying. If you plan to fail if you fail to plan. And everyone here today can still do this. Don't think, oh, I'm past that, I've already made that decision. Medicare, if you know anything about it, changes sometimes every day. So you need to make sure you're on top of those changes, because you don't want exposure that you don't want. So what I would definitely say is, make sure you know what's the right thing for you. Not for your neighbor, not for somebody else. What's the right thing for you, and what makes the most sense?
Okay. Charlie, we're going to go back to you. If someone's unsure about their next chapter, what should they think about first?
Well, I think Les's instruction is very good, and that's find something you're passionate about. I think the important thing, whether you get a job for a paycheck, whether you start a business, or whether you do something that you don't get paid for, I think it's equally important as long as you feel good and fulfilled by it. I've known a lot of people who have retired, and some of them just like the leisure, but a lot of others are bored out of their mind. I have a brother, an older brother, 2 years older than me, who was an attorney, and he retired a couple of years ago. He's now bored stiff. He wants to go back to work and do something, but he does nothing right now other than sit home and take care of his dogs and watch television reruns. I've heard a lot of guys say you can only play so much golf. You can get tired of catching fish after a while. And so I think, we're focused here on working and on making money and starting businesses or somehow continuing in that for-profit area. But I think even if you look around and find what you want to do, what you really like to do, the itch you've always wanted to scratch, teammates mentoring, for example, become a mentor. That could be very fulfilling. I happen to be fortunate enough to attend this church on a regular basis, and many of the activities in this building are run by volunteers and not by paid staff. I would say probably, 80-90% of them probably. And people seem to love this community. It's one of the most popular, fast-growing, still thriving traditional churches in Lincoln. And it's a wonderful thing when you find something you like to do, maybe Habitat for Humanity, if you like to build things or something like that. But whatever you do, I think the advice is best, make sure you're on solid ground legally, financially, accounting-wise, but mainly find something you really want to do and like to do. And if you don't like doing it, do something else.
Good. Well, Mary Ann, you seem to always have it figured out. You know what your next step is, and you got it planned. You're super focused and you're super prepared. But what if somebody isn't? Well, that's how she seems to me. That's what I see her and what she's built. But what advice would you give to someone who might not have it all figured out, who might want to do something like this, but just overwhelmed trying to figure out what that next step is?
Well, first, like everyone has said, you need to find something that you absolutely love, or you find something that maybe people need. And like I told you before, frustration is what was the impetus for Bridge to Better Living. And I think sometimes we just have to, step back and look and kind of reevaluate, what's happening around us. They say that the average age, successful age of entrepreneurs is 42. So I kind of like to see that go up a little bit. And also, with Bridge to Better Living, when I started it back in 2010, there weren't that many retirement communities in Lincoln. I got to looking, and by 2030, all baby boomers were going to be 65 and older. That's 75 million people. So I thought, I'm going to have some, hopefully, customers down the road. So I did the research just to see if the business would sustain itself. And I think that's important too, to look ahead. And then I also had, I was over at the Focus Suites, and they have coaches over there. So I had office over at the Focus Suite and then coaching. And that was very, very helpful. So there's lots of people who want to help other people succeed. So you just need to reach out.
Good. And Les, we're gonna go over to you now. From a CPA, from a business evaluation kind of guy, what's one practical step that anybody could take today if they're thinking about continuing to work or creating an income?
Well, that's a good question, because every journey begins with the first step. If you don't take that first step, you're not going to get anywhere. And I want to pick up on the mentoring. I think if you're going to start a business and you're not real sure about it, find a mentor that can help you to navigate a little bit. You have the financial side, you have the legal side, and also maybe you have employees, but find somebody that's a mentor. And what Mary Ann said is if you find a need and fill it, you're gonna make money. That's what one of my mentors, Ralph Lutz, who founded what's now Lutz, which is the largest independent-owned CPA firm in Nebraska, who was one of my former partners. He said, if you find a need and fill it, you should make some money. I think Mary Ann's found a need and she's filling it, and she's making money at it. So I guess the first step would be maybe call somebody. Call me. You call me, I'll give you some free advice. But call somebody that you trust with your idea, or brainstorm an idea. Take that first step and see where the journey leads you. It may lead you to doing volunteer work. It may lead you to starting a business, but at least make that call and see what's out there and think about it. And then think about it some more. Like, right?
Yeah.
Think about it a lot.
Well, also, don't give up. You know, Colonel Sanders started Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was 65. He was turned down over 1,000 times for his chicken recipe. Finally, this one guy said, okay, we'll try it. Well, look where Kentucky Fried Chicken is today. But he kept going, and to be turned down over 1,000 times, that's remarkable.
Let me get to that. I want to add a little bit to that. You said the average age for an entrepreneur is 42. I think my first real venture, I was about 40, okay? I partnered up with my brother-in-law. We did a hog feeding operation, okay? And it was a big investment at the time. Still would be. But when I first started, I was probably about 43. And one of our first ventures was to do assisted living communities. How many banks had to go to that said no before we found the bank that said yes? If I would have given up, I wouldn't have accomplished any of that. We went finally found a bank, and they said, yeah, we'll do the deal, and loaned us money that helped us to get that project started. And from that humble beginning, we started one building, and we went to 4 different county seat towns in Iowa that had no assisted living at the time. And had I given up, which is, it's kind of lonely being a CPA or being an entrepreneur. I think we all can attest to that. It can be kind of lonely out there. You got to find people to surround you and mentor you. But had I given up, I wouldn't have. All those 200 and some people now that have a place to live would not have a place to live. And so I think that's part of the success you can have, the legacy that you can leave behind by just sticking to it.
Yes, and about 25 years ago, I had a dream, my husband and I, with it. We loved antiques, and we were wanting to build an antique mall, and I kept telling Les, well, you should build one down here on this development that he had. One day he said, well, why don't you just do it? And it's like, because I don't know anything about it, and I don't have any money, so that's the easy part to figure out. And he did. We went to different banks. He goes, we're just going to see who will play ball here. And we did. He showed me how to do that, and we found a bank that would play ball, and we opened up our dream. But it did flood 3 times, and that's why I went back to real estate, just so that you know the antique mall didn't fail, the river did. So we're gonna go on now. Dave, I already asked you that question. Charlie, next one is for you. What does a typical day look like for you now, and how does staying active in your work shape your routine and your mindset?
Well, I really don't have a typical day other than getting up, drinking a little coffee, reading the papers. I read a couple of newspapers first thing in the morning. I do my narrating for the day pretty much right away. Usually after that, go to the gym, work out for a couple hours, come back. I love to watch Jeopardy. I love to watch the afternoon news, and I usually do some hobby like playing the piano or doing a little photography. I've been in a genealogy project the last couple of years, so that's pretty much my evening, or I watch some sports on TV. What was the second half of the question?
Let's see.
Memory care is coming next.
How does it reshape your routine and mindset?
Well, I just, it shapes my routine and mindset by checking my calendar every day and finding out what I have to do and making sure I get everything done. Fit it all in one way or the other.
Okay. And Mary Ann, how has your work evolved over the years, and how has that evolution allowed you to continue doing what you love doing?
Back in 2010, when we first started, like I had mentioned before, there were not that many retirement communities in Lincoln. we probably have double now what we did back then. And they're still building them. So with them building and having open apartments, then we're able to continue helping people find that right retirement community, one that matches not only their physical needs, their social needs, their medical needs, and their financial needs, and also their personality. And so it has been, with the influx of the baby boomers, it has evolved, and I find now more people are willing to, the baby boomers seem to be more willing to move now than what the traditional generation did. They were, I'm gonna stay in my house and I'm gonna give all of my wealth to my kids. And the baby boomers are a little bit different. They wanna move and get going and be with other people and play pickleball, and so you see a lot of the communities now, they have pickleball courts, and they have committees, and they say, hey, what do you enjoy doing? We'll get it for you. And so they're actually listening to the people and doing and providing them what they need and what they want.
Good. And has your business grown? I mean, when you started your business, did you think it was just gonna be you doing this? And if not, did you have visions for what you have built today?
Well, when I first started, it was just me, and then a few years later, there were 2 of us, and now there's 8 of us. So between Lincoln and Omaha, it has grown far more than what I ever dreamt it would grow. But it has been fun. I have a great team. I have a social worker, and then I have an RN. I have a gal that has worked with home care companies. I have another gal who did marketing and did fundraising for the University of Nebraska and Bryan Hospital, who's standing right over there at the same top that I have on. And we have an OT, occupational therapist, and then another gal who opened up new communities. And so it's a really great blend of a team, because we can all lean on each other. If we don't know something, we know there's somebody else on the team that will know the answer.
Good. Okay. Les, when you mentor others, what do you see holding people back the most from stepping into this next chapter of life?
Well, probably the thing that holds them back is the thing that held me back for 20 years, okay? I was in CPA world, had a very good accounting practice that I built over time, and the money was good, and I was making very good money, and to give that up and go out and do a venture and not know what you're gonna do, okay, just ask my wife, okay, ask her. After about 6 months, she says, well, after I got out of public accounting, she says, well, what do I tell people you're doing? Because I was, seriously, because I got trained to be a certified valuation analyst. I was doing that, but I figured out if I'm gonna be a CVA, I have to appear in court, and I didn't like the court because you get divorce cases. Didn't like that, not that I shy away from controversy, but I didn't like that type. And I was working on a truck stop, and I was working on assisted living, and the money was kind of tight. And she says, well, what do I tell people? And I said, well, I'm just trying to build some businesses. And so the thing that holds people back the most is that fear, probably right now, fear of failure, okay, that's number one, and a fear of financial loss because they gave up a good income and now all of a sudden they have nothing to fall back on. I did it, I proved that you could do it. It didn't come easy. It was quite a challenge. It took quite a while to get everything going. But now I think, if you ask my wife, she's very happy about the decisions we made and the things we did together, and so am I.
Okay. Dave, I have a question for you. For someone approaching 65, they're still working, what's the timing conversation that they need to have right now so they don't miss something important?
Timing is everything. When should I retire? A person should ask a ton of questions so they get a ton of answers. But when should I retire should be the biggest one, obviously. Does it make sense? Should be another question. you all have to, everyone in this room has to make a decision at some point. We all do. What's that decision gonna entail? How much money do you want to come out of your pocket? Things of that nature. We need that to be coordinated. You need to get a hold of someone you trust, not your neighbor, not somebody down the road. This is what they did. This is how they did it. It's all about you today. You find someone you trust, because you guys are making different decisions now, even now. You don't just take Medicare and call it a day. You have to make some very important decisions. And one thing that I'm going to reiterate, and I think all the other three have said it, is find your life, give it a purpose. You guys had a purpose today to come here. Nice. But when you start not finding a purpose for your life, guess what? You're starting on the downhill slope. So, my life has all kinds of purpose. There's me helping people with their Medicare, which isn't all we do, but that is my purpose. I had a purpose too, and I'm gonna plug this a little bit, but I umpired, I don't know if you know that, for 32 years. And most people will say, well, umpiring, don't you hate getting yelled at? And I thought, well, no, I just ignore them like my ex-wife. And that always creates a smile.
That's why she's his ex-wife.
Okay, I deserve that. But no, I found it to be a passionate thing for me. I couldn't have done it for 32 years if it wasn't. Thankfully, well, to some, I no longer get to do that because of my health. And so, you should find a passion and a purpose. That's what I don't even know what the question was she asked me.
I don't either.
But anyway, my one other thing is, how many of you can listen to Charlie all day long? He has such a radio voice. Sorry, and that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Okay, well, go back to Charlie. Okay, go ahead, Mary
Can I
Ann.
say one more thing? So I know that some of you out here have some passions, and Placement with Passion is Bridge to Better Living's motto, but I know that there's a person out here who loves dogs, and she's actually become an entrepreneur because now she takes care of dogs. She goes to people's homes, and so, it's not a huge, Cindy, raise your hand.
Need a dog sitter? Here's your gal.
She's, and she just started with 1 or 2 families, and now she's built it clear up. So, it doesn't have to be huge. Cindy found her love and started it very small.
Good. Let's see, where are we? Charlie. Have there been moments when you considered stepping away, and what ultimately made you continue instead?
Stepping away from working?
Uh-huh.
No.
Anybody
Short
else on
answer,
the
no.
panel?
I enjoy what I do. I interact with a lot of very interesting people, and I just am gonna do it as long as I'm able to do it.
Okay, good. Well, Mary Ann, then, what keeps you energized in your work, especially when you're walking alongside families during some of these major life transitions? Some of these can be really hard, and I'm sure some of the times you take some of this home. What keeps you going?
I just love being around people. I'm energized by people. I love the stories. One of the biggest mistakes I made was not keeping a journal. I have, sad stories. I have the families who really got along and have fun stories, and then the families that didn't get along. And then just, you get to know them as friends. And so I've heard the war stories. I've heard, the education stories. It's just been great to all the connections that we've made, and but that is my regret, is that I did not keep a journal, but I don't know if I'd have had time to write everything down. So, but what was my question? I got on.
What keeps you energized in your work? I think you answered it pretty well. So Les, we're gonna go back to you, and we're almost done here with our main questions. But from your experience, what separates those who successfully create income or purpose for their later in life, and those who struggle to find it and get started?
Well, before I answer that question, I'll try to remember the question, because I want to, my son played baseball, and his coach, third base. He always would get on the umpire. He would say, "Blue, do I have to do my job and yours too?" And so, if you ever played against, if you ever reffed his team, you probably know what happened. But 32 years, you say 32 years refereeing? Yeah. Okay. Umpire. That's why he's got the blue shirt on, guys. Okay. So, question again?
From your experience, what separates those who successfully create income or purpose later in life from those who struggle or struggle just to get started even?
I did remember the question, but that's helpful to repeat it. I think what separates them is, I didn't realize it at the time, but when I was doing the business ventures, buying real estate, doing those kind of things, I was creating passive income that was gonna help me in my retirement years. And I think what separates them is getting started early, and it's probably too late for a lot of us to get started in those type of things, but I think you need to get started someplace to get to the end. And creating different income streams, Social Security is one, of course, and other passive investments you may have, and also your retirement savings. That kind of builds to where you have an ability to retire. And I just heard Warren Buffett, he was giving 10 things you should consider when you're 65. Can you figure this out? I'm looking, scrolling through, and here's this little segment comes on. The first thing he said was, most people have enough money to retire, they just don't realize it. Okay, they think, well, I need this amount of money to retire, I gotta get to this point before I retire. And I think depending on your lifestyle and what you do, and if you are wise with your money, probably you can retire at an earlier age if you really care to. Still, you have to have a reason to get up every morning, you have to have something to do, whether it's, whatever it's hobbies you might have or whatever, but I think that's probably the important thing.
Okay, good. So Dave, I think we have, I think you did answer all of our questions. So, I'd love to have anybody have questions out here that you would like to ask our panel. How many of you are still working past 65? How many of you out here are still working? How many of you would like to find just something really fun that you would like to do? Anybody? Okay. So we're gonna pass around the mic here and let the audience ask some questions. Who's got questions? Who's got one over there?
This isn't a question, but I love OLLI classes. I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't found OLLI classes. And when I've been a widow most of my life, or single most of my life. My first husband died when he was in his 20s, and my second when he was 42. And so it always seemed like I just didn't know, couldn't keep up with things. When I was 62, I went down to Social Security to find out what I was supposed to do, how that would work when I was 65. And found out that I could take Social Security already because I was a widow. So guess what I did? I did it. I didn't think I could, needed to wait any longer to get a few more dollars a month. But I don't know what I'd do now if I didn't have Social Security and Medicare. And I don't know how you address that, but I'd be in trouble for sure.
You mentioned OLLI classes. Bridge to Better Living actually puts on an OLLI class. And the first session, we usually do independent living, and we meet and then we tour 6 or 5 different independent communities. And then the second session, we do assisted living. And then we will tour 5 different assisted livings. And we only take about 12 to 14 people in our class because of the way that we're touring a community. But it's a good way to find out what's out there with the communities and the different types and the different fields within each of those communities.
Any other questions?
Charlie, I was just wondering, with the audiobooks, does that require a sound studio, or how do you go about recording?
Well, yeah, you need some way to produce the books. I have a laptop computer, a microphone, a little box that hooks the microphone into the computer, and I built myself a little sound enclosure out of 4x4s, rock wool insulation, and fabric I bought at Hobby Lobby, and it cost me about $100 to build that, and use an old desk to put it on top of. You just need an enclosure where you don't echo, and that's about it. I mean, you can record an audiobook, or for that matter, you can shoot a movie on an iPhone. So it's not terribly expensive to get into. And a lot of people get started by using their clothes closets, for example, or coat closets. Just have a table or a bench in there and you're surrounded by coats. You just have to make sure you don't have a reflective surface that echoes. And you don't want to have a lot of exterior noise. For example, I can't record on Friday mornings because that's mowing day. I just structure my day around, so I have a number of chapters recorded raw on Thursday, so Friday morning is my editing day. You have to make things like that, but other than that, it's pretty simple to get into. In fact, if you are interested in doing it, I can meet with you afterwards and give you some basics or help you out.
We had another question over here.
Mary Ann, you mentioned the Focus Suite, and I should know where that is or what it is. I've started a little personal training business in my basement for older women, so would like to know more about that.
The Focus Suites are part of the Southeast Lincoln or Southeast Community College, and they are at about 69th and L. It's the
Okay.
old,
Yellow.
the old Gallup building. It's the west end in there on the 3rd floor. And Brooke is the gal who is in charge of them.
Thanks.
And the rent is very cheap, so it's
Thanks.
a great way to get started.
Any other questions?
We're now in the farmer's market season. Is there a lot to know about becoming a vendor at a farmer's market as far as licensing, the money, the taxes, vendor number, whatever they have to have? And then also, a second question, just out of curiosity for Les, what is your book about? I saw you had a book up there.
It's called The Road Less Traveled. It's a book that I intended to write a long time ago, and I finally, one Christmas, my son gave me a gift, and his wife. It's Storyworth, where every week you get a question to answer. And so I went through that over a period of 2 years, and it's about faith and family. It's all about Alicia's in it, so if you want to, she's part.
Secrets.
Yes, but it's about my faith life, my family life, and those two things are very important in my world. And yeah, it's up here. She's gonna give one away here. I have some, if you want to buy one, just see me later. I'll get you hooked up. But it was a 2-year journey, and I'm glad it took me 2 years, because there's things that happened in that second year that would not be in the book had it not been, they were appropriate to be in there. It was something I did off and on, and I'm gonna talk to Charlie here because I'm thinking about doing an audio version of it, but I don't want his voice, okay? No offense, Charlie. I wanna do my voice so that my grandkids hear me.
And about the farmer's market, if you call the people who run the farmer's market, they'll have all the instructions there for you. And if you're gonna do food at the farmer's market, they'll tell you all the different requirements and the labeling that are required. Different farmer's markets, like the farmer's markets in Lincoln, have different requirements, like than the farmer markets that are gonna be out in local, smaller communities, so. But they'll be very helpful. Other question, right up here in front.
As a, starting a business, what is the income threshold that would jeopardize Medicare? Like you can only earn so much before something. What is that threshold and how do you address that?
There is an income threshold, if you make X dollars. Most people they have found only 4% of those people ever go over the number. So if I'm not mistaken, you're asking how much money can you make in retirement before it becomes important to look at that number. To me, what I found is that you can make quite a bit of money before anything, you actually need to think about Social Security first, because they'll, and knowing that number is exactly what I think everybody in here should do. Just for fun, just know what that number is and know, okay, if I sell this, it's gonna put me over, so I'm not gonna sell that.
Where do you
So,
find that number out at?
Go ahead,
we could ask a CPA, I know one.
It's published, I think you can look it up. I don't know the exact guidelines, but, here's what I say, I mean, I faced that, in 2018, I sold a building and had a pretty good gain, and all of a sudden, boom, I got affected by that. But I think that you should always think about what's best for you. If you're gonna go in and do a business and you're gonna make money, whatever you have to get back because you're making so much money, it's gonna be a small amount. And, so, Uncle Sam's always there as your partner, no matter what you do, fail or succeed. For me, it's like, okay, I know I'm subject to it, but it doesn't stop me from doing what I wanna do or selling something just because that's gonna be a factor. But it's good to know, you can look it up, I don't know the exact site, I can look it up for you and send it to Alicia.
Where do you look that up?
I just, on the internet.
IRS.com.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, IRS.gov. Any other questions? Well, I would like to have everybody thank our panelists for being on the panel today. Thank you so much for being there. And so I just want to give you a few takeaways. When you leave here, retirement is evolving and it's always changing, and it probably will change for you from today till maybe a few years from now. But your purpose matters. Whether you want to do something that is income earning or just pursuing a passion or volunteering, find out what it is you want to do, but just stay active in something and doing that. And your planning for that is crucial. And we're here today because we just want to let you know that you do have options. There are things that you can still do if you want to do them. And we want to bring in our educational partners at this time. And we want to look at those evaluations again, if you guys would look at those. If you want to have any questions answered by our panelists, we can facilitate that for you. Or if you would like to have a consultation with any of our educational partners. To be an educational partner, they have to be vetted by me personally, which means they have to be honest, they have to be trustworthy, they have to do what they're going to say they're going to do and arrive at the time they're going to be there, and they're going to their fees are going to be reasonable for you. So if you want a free consultation with any of them, just mark that on the back of your evaluation, and we'll make sure that happens for you. So now we're going to give you them the microphone and let them introduce themselves.
Hi guys, I'm Christian Godinez. This is Danny Roseberry. We're with Gateway Vista Senior Living here in Lincoln. And today we brought with us a little picnic basket.
Okay, hi, I'm Paul Oxford, Oxford Praise Games, and I'm the one that's doing this stuff for the Nebraska State Fair that we're talking about. And I'm really excited for those that are going with us. And I just have a little fun, some goodie bags, great for spring.
Hi, I'm Heath with Archwell. We are a value-based healthcare system. Basically, we put quality over quantity. We work with seniors only, and I have a little watering can flower arrangement.
Hi, I'm Bert Quinlan with Alzheimer's. Throughout the summer, you'll be hearing more about us as we close in on the walk. We have the walk to get funding. Hopefully, we can contributors like you. The walk will be in October. Keep an eye on all the advertisements that you see this summer. I have a basket here hoping that we will finally get summer and maybe summertime things we can use.
I'm Tony with Organized by Design. We help with downsizing, decluttering, and moving and packing. And I have a bouquet of flowers today.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kate Jusky with Bridge to Better Living. You got to hear from my awesome founder and boss today, and I have a gift card to Starbucks.
I am Kinsey Christensen, and I am with Visiting Angels. Our goal is to help our clients stay home as independently and safely as possible by helping with homemaking, personal care, and incontinence and toileting. And I have a little gratitude basket with a gratitude journal, a candle, and a little crocheted flower bouquet.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. I'm not just a guy up here today. My name is Dave Tuttle. I have been with Savvy Seniors since its inception. The first day we had 4 people. Now look at us, how the growth has happened. I do work for a company called American Senior Benefits. I'm an umpire, so I don't really need this, but we always do. Yeah. Okay. So I have worked for American Senior Benefits for 17 years now, so I think I have a little bit of experience. I hope I do. What we do everything through retirement, and I do mean everything. We focus initially on Medicare, because that should be your focus as well, but we also do all the other intangibles, the life insurance, the long-term care, the nursing home plan. And then, we also help people put their money in the right place and make it work for them, harder than it works make it work for you harder than it works for them. So, there's nothing we can do, or we can't do in the insurance realm. So, if you have any questions or concerns, just let us know. And I do have something I'm going to give out. It's a book, or it's your Medicare book, and you can put everything in there that you need. I'll run and show it to you, and I'll bring it back.
And I'm TJ Crassel with the Nebraska Real Estate Specialty Group, and we are with Nebraska Realty. We help seniors transition with all kinds of different transitions. We can come and make sure that you guys are living where you're wanting to be or where you need to be. We can kind of talk to you about aging in place or what your options are, and we're always happy to help. So yeah, just reach out. I think we have a gift certificate to Tico's.
And Les brought one of his books today. Okay, so we are gonna let our panelists here, Charlie and Marianne had to leave for an appointment. We'll let you pick one, and if they're not filled out completely, we'll go to the next one. So, okay, so just pick one and see who's to be your friend.
So,
say what?
Yeah, so the first one, we're gonna start there with Visiting Angels on the end, and this person is,
Barbara Nast.
Barbara. When you get your, yes, okay, let's take one.
Sue Honor. I'll sign the book for you.
Awesome.
Give it out?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's okay.
No, is that, or maybe.
Well, yeah, that's
Okay,
good.
got it.
We're gonna go to Bridge to Better Living.
Okay.
And we'll just go down the road. Okay, next one, Charlie?
Okay, this is Bridge to Better Living.
Are you? I thought it was. Oh, okay.
And this is Debbie Bowles. Hey,
Wait,
Bridge to
okay.
Better Living.
Didn't I get Lester's
She gets
book?
the one from Organized by Design. Yeah, you get the one from Bridge to Better Living.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
The next winner is
Sorry.
Barb Hopkins.
Another Barb, where's Barb? There she is. So you get the one from the Alzheimer's. And we have Archwell next. Archwell.
Okay. The Archwell gift goes to Marianne Whipple. Hey, right there.
And what's next?
Okay, so you get the one from, Dream Vacations.
Okay, the next winner is Jim Ehlers.
Jim, okay. Oh, next one is from Gateway Vista.
Gateway, well, that's a load, all right. This goes to Denise Brennan. Right here. Oh, well, you're gonna serve lunch for everybody.
Thank you. Okay, and the next one is from the Nebraska Real Estate Specialty Group. Gift certificate to Tico's.
And the winner is Les Robbins. It's my favorite restaurant, so that's where my wife and I went for our first date. The real winner is Randy.
Randy, where's Randy? Okay, Charlie, who gets Les's book?
Edward Plander.
Edward, where's Ed?
There.
There you are. Les will give it to you, he wants to sign it for you. Okay, and then.
You're lucky, he doesn't
Oh,
want
we
you to
forgot
sign
Dave.
anything.
Oh my gosh, okay, I forgot one, the Medicare book. Okay, go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, one more.
One more.
Okay,
Sorry. Oh, oh.
two more.
See you out there. That's me, did you introduce yourself? Okay.
Good morning, Becky Sass, I'm with Clare Senior Advisors, and I have Nolan with me with Clare Senior Advisors. This is our basket.
Okay,
Okay, so we're doing the basket or we're doing Dave's book?
we'll do Dave's and then we'll do the basket.
Okay, the winner of Dave's book is Kat Potoff.
Yeah,
Out there.
yeah, okay.
You're gonna sign yours?
I can.
Autograph it?
And the final winner is Diana Peterson.
Oh my gosh,
Okay, now I want you to raise your hand if you brought a friend who has never been here before. You can pick a gift. So we want to thank St. Mark's for letting us have our seminars here, and they provided the cookies today. So Doug had to go there; he had an emergency with water on his acreage and isn't able to attend today. But we want to make sure that they are thanked, and we appreciate you guys all coming out today. And next month we're going to talk about traveling. And when you travel and you're a senior, there's a lot of things that you need to know. So bring a friend and come next month. And I think it's the June 6th, isn't it, the 6th? The 2nd, the 3rd? The 3rd, okay, it's the 3rd. So, we hope to see you here next month, June 3rd at 10 o'clock, same time, same place. Thanks for coming. And the educational partners will be out there at their tables if you would like to get information from them.